starting us out this morning, PDL Supporting New Teachers with Tara Isaacs and Sarah Reed. I'm going to turn it over to you, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, everybody. It is a Friday. I have my Oaks hat on. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm celebrating. Want to give a shout out to my principal, Dr. Marcia Carmichael at Coleridge Taylor for Principal Appreciation Day. And I'm going to begin. Welcome to the JCPS New Teacher Mentoring Program. This episode, we're going to share some strategies for mentoring new teachers through NTI. Presenters today are Dr. Tara Isaacs. She's the Director of Professional Learning and Development, Division of Teaching and Learning. I'm Sarah Reed. Normally, I'm the AIC at Coleridge Taylor Montessori. I also wear another hat. I'm a new teacher mentor. I have 3 new teachers at Coleridge Taylor, and I have 2 here today. Cameron Sellers, he's a brand new teacher at Coleridge Taylor. He works in the 4th and 5th grade intermediate pod. And Kaitlyn Mangum, she's a 2nd year mentee, but she works also in the 4th and 5th grade intermediate pod at Coleridge Taylor. Dr. Isaacs, would you like to speak?
Yes. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad you joined us. We wanted to do something to support our new teachers during the NTI period. And the way we arrived at that decision was we had just sent out a new teacher survey, mentor survey, and a kind of a principal rating to kind of see if they'd seen progress in the building from the beginning of the year to where we left off. And some of the preliminary data coming in was indicating that our new teacher mentors, the new teachers really appreciated the mentor support and they wanted it to continue. And so we thought we wanted to get out here and make sure that we offered some kind of an additional support for people who have mentors or do not have mentors, provide some information on that. The other thing that we learned is kind of a celebration for our office, but we are learning that based on the feedback we got from our mentors, teachers, and principals last year and those changes, we were able to improve upon our program, and we're hoping that reaching out to teachers during this time is also going to help with building our product for what we deliver next year, because that's currently under progress. We want to say thank you to Sarah, who's our one of our trainers for the district, and also to Kaitlyn and Cameron, who are new teachers or new-ish teachers, and just appreciating their candor in sharing what's going on right now and managing through this NTI period. So without further ado, I'll turn this back over to Sarah and just thank everybody for being here today.
Thank you, Tara. Okay, our JCPS Mentor Program mission to support the professional and personal growth of new teachers. The second one is to increase that teacher retention. Every year, JCPS hires about 700 teachers. We want as many to stay as possible because we know that we have different cultures in different schools, and sometimes that's a little bit different than what they training they receive in those teacher programs. So we want to kind of bridge that divide. We want to provide opportunities for mentor professional learning. So we have a cadre of mentors in buildings where these mentees, new teachers are. So we want to provide that support, give them strategies, and also kind of have a PLC for them so that there's a support system. All that is to support that student learning and achievement, because we know teachers who are well prepared and well mentored are more likely to stay in teaching as well as be effective. So in supporting new teachers, the mentor-mentee relationship is new within this NTI context, but there are ways we can, as mentors, prepare and support to enable our mentees, JCPS new teachers, to be effective. Giving them faith and grace is important, but also listening and support. Moving from a drive to work and walk into a classroom with students to get up and walk into a room with computers to virtually connect is a shift. So letting our new teachers talk while we listen and take notes to support is so important. Co-planning, talking on the phone and virtually going into a Google Classroom to co-construct a unit helps scaffold content delivery, or asking another teacher or resource to come in and support that teacher enables them to see that even through NTI, a community wraps its services around our new teachers. Provide resources, helping that new teacher create that YouTube account, helping that teacher to create those how-to videos using Screencastify, and orienting those new teachers to the JCPS resource page. Also supporting that engaging content is so important. Here we are with the teacher emotional roller coaster graph. Living classrooms, we're moving into rejuvenation reflection phase. However, with NTI, our mentees have done a loop. So now at the beginning, we were at that anticipation, but now some may be in survival and even some may be in that disillusionment. So it's important to have those conversations with our teachers and go in and support them so we're able to collaborate and we're able to solve some of those problems so that our teacher is able to anticipate this next year. Whatever this next year looks like, they'll have the context of this year to build in for next year. Another really good strategy, and it's something that I always use, is that mental health check-in. I always call my teachers pretty much every day, and I ask them, how are you doing? Some of them will go, I'm doing good. And if I hear a little inflection to that answer, I'm going to go, so tell me what you've done, so I can probe a little bit deeper. Usually entering in that type of conversation, my teachers will come out and say, well, I am struggling in this area, or I don't know how to do this. So I'll ask them to invite me in. And then again, we'll go into that co-collaboration mode. And if I can't solve it, I'm going to bring someone else in because I really don't want them to have that productive struggle where they give up. I want to have them and encourage that growth mindset and resilience that I know that they have. They just need support to get them through those humps. So some more strategies that we can use to support our new teachers is to collaborate on how to deliver specific content. We can demonstrate, we can create a Google Classroom ourselves and set up a model of what it looks like, or, you know, what our ideas are for it, and then ask that new mentee to come in and to kind of share what they see and then take some takeaways, you know, pick or one or two things to take away so that they're not overwhelmed. Another way that we can provide feedback is reflect on video instruction. While we can't go directly into that classroom, there's tools that we can use or ask that new teacher to use, such as Screencastify or a Meet, the recorded Meet, or the record in Zoom, to kind of share how they're delivering that content so that they can take that back out and share. And then we can pick one or two nuggets or do those deltas and pluses to see what's working and what's not. Oftentimes, I will go into those Google Classrooms that they've set up, and I'll ask that new teacher to kind of look at what the students are connecting with and what the students are not connecting with. And that's really data for student engagement. If students aren't connecting with the content, I ask my new teachers to delve a little bit deeper, and let's go in and let's try to understand why this isn't working and what we can do to improve that student engagement in this virtual context. Another key component is that social emotional learning, not just for the student, but for our new teachers. Setting boundaries is so important when they're within their homes, they have these computers set up, and it's so easy since we're always have that smartphone with us to want to check and want to engage. But for that social emotional health, we need to step away, and we need to encourage our new teachers to do that as well. Mindfulness and that time management, kind of setting up a start time and an end time, so that we're not working all the time in this NTI context. And that last one is to regroup and stabilize and strategize. That's so, so important, because they can, again, get overwhelmed very easily. There's so many resources. Emails are hitting, they're getting beeps through their emails, and they just can be overwhelmed. So just taking some of that load off and helping them, okay, don't worry about your email. Saying something like, don't worry about your email right now. Just focus on the email that you can focus on, and then you can attack some of that other email that's coming to you. Again, just helping them kind of prioritize, supporting that emotional health, going into those Google Classrooms, helping them set up those contexts is just crucial during this time. Here's some prompting questions. This slide is really good, because again, one of the first questions I'll ask are, how are things going? And then I'll get a little bit more specific. How are you doing with Screencastify? Those are JCPS platforms that I think are really necessary for our new teachers to learn, so that when they go into other contexts, professional learning experiences, that they can have the same language as those around them. And then a big one is, how successfully are you communicating with parents during this time? Sometimes families will engage and sometimes they won't. Sometimes I'll ask my new teachers, how are they engaging with others, supports at their school that can help them communicate with families if families are disengaging. I'm also encouraging my new teachers to use those choice boards, because those choice boards are good starting points for creating lessons around their building schema, and background is important in those. And the district has provided those. So that's one less thing on their plate that they need to worry about. And then again, that final one, I'm always going to ask that, how are you taking care of you? Because again, that mental health of teachers is really important, new teachers especially, because they're going to be closing down those classrooms, and they haven't had that opportunity. They don't really know what the end is or how to prepare for that, or to kind of stabilize who they are in this context. So with that, I'm now going to hand off the presentation to Kaitlyn. Would you like to share how you're, what you're doing during this NTI, and how the mentorship has helped you? Kaitlyn?
Yeah, I'd love to. So my name is Kaitlyn Mangum, and I am a second-year teacher at Coleridge Taylor. My Twitter handle is up there at the top of the slide. So I have really enjoyed working through the mentor process. Sarah Reed was my mentor last year, and I still work really closely with her this year, and I know that we'll continue to work closely down the future. So I consider her not to be just a mentor for the first year, but a friend and someone that I can really rely on without my educational career. So what I've enjoyed really working with my mentor during my first year of teaching is the knowledge of those resources. During this time of NTI, when things are kind of up in the air and people don't really know what all is going on, that knowledge of those online tools to help increase student engagement is really important. Also working with my mentor, it's nice because they typically understand the progression of the standards. So knowing what do students need to know now, what is the most important, what are students going to need to know next year, what were they expected to have learned last year, and how can you build on that this year? Another important aspect that I learned during the mentor program was relationship building with students. I have found that students are not really going to trust you and almost respect you as their teacher until you have a good starting relationship with them. And what's nice about my mentor being in the building with me is she's often building relationships with those same students. So it's nice to kind of see how we all build relationships differently, but how students really need to have different adults in the building that they can rely on. Perhaps one of the most important parts of working with my mentor, especially as a first-year teacher last year, was her being able to come in and work on the observations of my lessons and give me feedback for improvement. One thing that my mentor really focused on was the self-reflection. So what did I think was going well? What types of things did I need to change? What might I have done differently if the situation or that same lesson was to be done again? So that self-reflection, and I have found that the easiest way to do that is with the pluses and deltas. So what went well? What do I think needs to change? I have really enjoyed working through the mentor program. I'm a second-year teacher now, and I can say that that mentor program during my first year of teaching was very beneficial and something that I think all teachers need to be able to go through as they're starting out their education career. I have enjoyed this process so much that I hope to one day, later down the road, maybe be a mentor to a new teacher myself.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn has really grown. She's a super leader in the building. And that's what I don't really think it's myself, but I think it's having that mentor program. Since K-TIP is no longer with us, our new teachers moving into the district in different contexts and cultures and different schools really need that support person that they can go to help them just kind of navigate all that comes to them. Our next presenter is Cameron, and he is our new JCPS teacher. Cameron, would you like to talk about how the mentor program has supported you and how the mentor program is supporting you through NTI?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So especially during this period of time when we're switching from regular classroom to entirely online, I feel like we're kind of going through the entire teacher emotional roller coaster all over again. Again, I'm Cameron. I'm a first-year teacher, and I feel like I'm kind of going through that survival and disillusionment. I feel like we all are, honestly. But I feel like we're doing that again, and it really helps to have a mentor in for during crises like this. This is kind of an extreme example, but a more basic example would be a typical school year. And I think a mentor is really helpful, not only for the academic portion, but also for your emotional health. Whenever you're speaking with a mentor, you start realizing like the true form, like the black and white form of how you are doing, because it's difficult to recognize those signs of, you're feeling too much pressure, you're getting too stressed out. It can be kind of difficult to realize that in the moment. We've all been there as educators. And, but as far as the academic portion goes, it's really nice to have a mentor, because I see a mentor as a person that is like the best of the college experience. So in college, you learned a tremendous amount about how to teach in those 4 years. And it's nice to kind of have a mentor be able to funnel down what's really important and effective in your classroom, and what may be effective in other classrooms, but the mentor knows your students personally, and that may not be the best strategy, that kind of example. Now, hopefully, ideally, every mentor, in my opinion, should be in the same school as the one that you teach at. That's Kaitlyn and I got lucky in that extent. And I think that's really important. So then they're able to know your students. They're able to, adapt the lessons and differentiate properly for your students. And especially in the classroom and for online learning. So it's really nice to have those resources and curriculum to be able to implement to your students and become a very effective teacher. And I think, honestly, as far as teacher retention rates go, I think mentoring would be really helpful in the upcoming future. I hope this becomes, an adamant part of JCPS to ensure that we have as many teachers be retained as possible. I think mentoring will be the very first step to doing so. So yeah.
Thank you, Cameron. New teachers are on a different continuum as they move through. And then if, they get little humps and little bumps, they need someone to kind of segue through that road and that path to kind of see the end of the light, the end of that tunnel. So, again, I'm really glad that JCPS has this mentor program in place, that we see the successes of our new teachers, and as they move on to their second, third, fourth, and fifth year.
So I'm going to jump in here also and add first, excellent Kaitlyn and Cameron for giving us just a candid view of what you're experiencing. We do appreciate the shout out, but more importantly, we're so pleased to know that it's working, and it's leadership such as yourselves that you continue on in your career, that we're hoping that we can reinvest in our next generation of people coming in. And also, Cameron, a shout out to you for bringing it back to the teacher retention issue that we're addressing. We're working closely with human resources to identify top talent so that we can keep our best and brightest in front of students. We are not helping, or we're actually perpetuating gaps for learning if we're not providing our top-notch teacher for every student in our district. And those teachers, regardless of their talent and regardless of their heart, they have needs, and we want to make sure that we're meeting those needs in a coaching, a safe, collaborative way, and not necessarily just approaching them in evaluation. Evaluation has its place, but this program here in particular is about coaching. And if everyone else is okay, I think that we've wrapped up our session for Friday morning, unless something else needs to be said. But before we do, I do want to shout out to our IT team, and also allow Sarah to show you the mentoring team if you have any questions or suggestions for the program.
Yeah. This year we had the new JCPS Mentors to New Teacher program. Cheryl Bibby, Charlotte Ivy, Jennifer Colley, myself, and Tara. We worked through that program. Next year we'll have returning mentors. Next year, sorry about this. Next year, the teachers that were mentors last year, they'll go into a second phase, and any new teachers that are new to the mentoring program will go through the phase one. So we're always working and improving our new teacher mentoring program through the county. Are there any questions that anyone has?
I did not see any in the chat. Thank you all so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
I remember being a first year teacher, and it's totally like nothing you'll ever experience. And that even varies like school to school and building to building and department to department. So it's really awesome that you guys have this mentoring program, and I'm sure that everybody that goes through it understands how lucky they are that they have it.
Yeah, a lot of risk taking is taken by our new teachers, really opening themselves up and being really vulnerable and trusting that mentor that's working with them. Again, it's a non-evaluative process, which makes it a unique experience. And they really learn to trust and really open up. And as a result, they really work on the craft of teaching. And each one, has a progression of excellence. I think it's just excellence that they've stayed and they're ending the year out. That's what I want for every teacher.
Well, it's awesome. And there will never be a point in their career where they won't appreciate that. When I first started teaching, Robin Handloser in Nelson County was she was my mentor, and I would not be the teacher I am today without her and the guidance that she provided me. So your work is definitely appreciated and always will be. So.
Yes. And our new teachers, they may become our counselors. They may become our principals. Mm-hmm. They may become the next superintendent. We never really know. So that's why it's really important to kind of work with the skills and capacities that they have and help them to see that they really have those ruby red slippers on. Mm-hmm. They really have the power in themselves to kind of grow and change and evolve. That's what teaching is.
Yes, well, we appreciate it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for inviting us. Have a great day, everyone.
Yes, have a great weekend. And everybody still watching us, thank you so much for tuning in.